Today, I'm going to be revealing my altcoin accumulation list. We're seeing a little bit of a dip in the market right now, which is one of the first opportunities to get into some altcoins that you may have missed over the last few weeks. So I'm going to be breaking down some of the sectors that I'm most bullish on right now and the exact altcoins within those sectors. I'm going to be giving you some exact entry targets for these coins. Some of them are coming down to really key levels at the moment, which now start to offer decent risk reward. And there's also one altcoin which I've never spoken about before on the channel, which I want to introduce today under the AI segment. We do have the NVDA earnings happening in 8 days, and I do believe this could be the trigger for continued AI outperformance, and for that reason, I've continued to move down the risk curve there, so that's going to be slightly later in the show, and I'm excited to share that with you. Looking at Bitcoin right now, before we get into all of the juicy altcoin alpha, I also want to talk a bit of strategy. I'm seeing people making a couple of mistakes right now, which I want to address in terms of altcoin strategy. But firstly, on the Bitcoin front, we are starting to see a little bit of a cool down after what was a massive rally. In fact, it was the biggest Bitcoin daily move of all time in terms of dollar value, with the daily open on November 11th, 80,000 and Bitcoin closing at 88,000. That is absolutely insane. It wasn't the biggest percentage move of all time. Obviously, in the early days, Bitcoin was moving from like $1 to $5, etc. But it was the biggest dollar value move. And I think it's the first of many that are going to come this cycle as money continues to pour into Bitcoin and Bitcoin continues to accelerate. If you are interested in a little bit more of an outlook regarding Bitcoin from a macro perspective, earlier today, I got Doc on the channel and we kind of discussed our Bitcoin price targets, our strategy in terms of the more macro cycle. So I recommend checking that out. Remember, I am uploading twice a day right now. So if you do want the early crypto alpha, make sure you are subscribed and hit that post notification bell down below. I realize that around half of my audience isn't actually subscribed that watch these videos. So if you are seeing me for the first time, or even if you've just been watching these videos and you aren't subscribed, it really does help the channel if you do subscribe. And at the end of the day, it's best for all of us that crypto gets the attention that it deserves. So if you can help out my channel on the algorithm side, that is always a plus for the entire space. I believe we need quality content creators in this space. We need people that have been in the space for many years. You know, I've been in the space for coming on 6 years now, to be creating quality content and teaching the new crop of market participants, the new retail that start to flood into the market, how to actually navigate the space. And I believe my mix of, fundamental and also now technical prowess and just understanding of the altcoin market, I think hold myself, but obviously you guys as audience members in good stead to absolutely smash it this cycle. And I do think our community overall has been really outperforming over the past few weeks due to this. You can see in front of you, Polymarket is now giving Bitcoin a 55% chance of it hitting 100K in the next 6 weeks by the end of 2024, which is kind of insane. But to be honest, with the current trajectory that we're on, 100K is super close, and I do expect this to be the case by the end of the year, if not early in January. It's only another 16% away. The momentum over the past week has taken us up, 27% already, now sitting at 23%. So another 16% is certainly on the cards here. And if you want my exact price prediction, you can go and watch the stream with Doc, but spoiler alert, we do think Bitcoin is going much higher than 100K this cycle, which is going to be very good for altcoins. We also saw the Bitcoin industrial complex, which is the ETFs plus MicroStrategy and Coinbase, seeing a record $38 billion in trading volume today. So we can definitely see now this institutional / TradFi FOMO that is pouring into the market. So it's not only the crypto degens that are bidding on crypto anymore. You now have this traditional contingent of the market, which now has significant interest in crypto. And this is underpinning demand for Bitcoin this cycle, which we have never seen before. As you can see in front of you, over $1.1 billion worth of capital came into the Bitcoin spot ETFs that was injected into the market. And this is only possible because we have these ETFs now. So fundamentally, this cycle is so much different to the other cycles because you have all-time low Bitcoin supply on exchanges. You have all-time low Bitcoin issuance due to the halving. But now you also have not just the supply dynamics, you have the demand dynamics, that demand side that is really propelling Bitcoin to higher heights as people keep FOMOing into the market on the traditional side because it's now a viable proxy. We've even seen wealth managers, there's been screenshots of emails being sent around that are now recommending their clients to actually invest in Bitcoin and crypto right now. So it's full risk on mode. And this is definitely reflected in the analytics that we are currently getting. One of the major metrics that I've been looking at are YouTube views and Google Trends and the App Store rankings. I believe these are the two strongest retail indicators in the market. Now, a couple of weeks ago on the channel, I pointed out that the Coinbase ranking for the App Store was at 450 and Bitcoin was at all-time highs. There was no noise, right? And I pointed that out as being an opportunity because eventually that is going to end up correcting itself. And that's exactly what we've seen a couple of weeks later with Coinbase being ranked now 21, Robinhood being ranked 20. Last cycle, we saw these at the number 1 and 2 spots. So there still is room for growth here, but it definitely shows you that retail is on standby. The second that the market started heating up, they started to flood back in the market. Now, I have a theory that this is only the beginning. I have a theory that this could actually be the craziest bull run ever, not just because of the institutional demand and the accessibility to Bitcoin via the spot ETF, but I also believe that this is going to be the craziest bull run ever because of the exposure and the mindshare that crypto has versus other cycles. So let me explain. In 2021, millions of people were exposed to crypto. Many of those retail participants have since left. Since then, over the last 3 years, since they left because they were tourists, they came into the market to make a quick buck, and they ended up leaving when the market started going down. That's, retail tourism in markets, and it's very common. But since then, the market has had 3 years to develop. Better applications, better on-ramps, better off-ramps, a much more efficient user experience, and a much more dialed-in market in terms of accessibility. Now we have a pro-crypto US president. Bitcoin and ETH ETFs have increased accessibility as well. And we have unprecedented institutional demand, which is, as I mentioned before, now combined with all-time low Bitcoin supply. This is very powerful because crypto is already on retail's radar from 2021. So that cycle was the cycle of education. That cycle was the cycle where the whole theory of crypto and Bitcoin was injected into everyone's minds. Now, at the time, there was a lot of skeptics. There was a lot of doubters. But 3 years later, TradFi, institutions, and retail are coming around to that idea because the seed has already been planted and they've had a few years to ruminate on that seed. So come time for a new Bitcoin all-time high, which is now, the mindshare for crypto is already there. And that's why they've come back so quickly, because they already know about it. They already know how it works. And you have this network effect of everyone coming back all at once, then telling their friends about crypto. And things just take off so much quicker because there isn't that friction, there isn't that barrier that we had last cycle of, look, we actually need to educate people on what this is. So noticing how quickly attention came back into the market once price starts moving gives us a gauge that crypto is already on people's radar, and it also gives us a gauge of how big this cycle could potentially be, because it means gaining network effect via social media and word of mouth is much more effective, and it's going to be much bigger. And now there are also more information sources and resources for people to learn about crypto than ever. So the potential pool of new users is just much bigger, which is why I think this could be the craziest bull run ever. Now, something very interesting on the retail side has happened over the last few days, and it's correlated to the reason why the Coinbase and Robinhood rankings have skyrocketed on the App Store. And that is the fact that we've seen a massive pump amongst Doge. Even today, when a lot of altcoins are down, Doge is up 26%, and it's effectively doubled from 20 cents to 40 cents over the last few days. But this is ridiculously inherently bullish for both meme coins and crypto. Why? Because there are millions of normies right now, all around the world, that are going to open up their phones, right? They have Robinhood, they have Coinbase downloaded from the last cycle. Retail doesn't sell, right? They have Dogecoin that, they put $1,000 in and they watch it go down to 100 and they said, I may as well keep it, right? They're now logging on to their phones and they are seeing 500, 1,000, 1,500% gains compared to what it was a few months ago. And they're looking at their phones and they're going, wow, crypto's back. They're going to then tell their friends, oh, have you checked Dogecoin? Like, I just checked Coinbase. I'm up $1,000 today. What's going on? They're going to get interested in crypto again. They're going to start moving down the risk curve. At the very least, they're going to tell their friends, guys, look at this. This is insane. I just made $1,000 this week. It's more than my weekly or fortnightly pay. This is insane. And then they tell their friends, and then their friends get interested in crypto again. And then the hype ends up spreading. So Dogecoin is way more bullish for retail than even, you could argue, Bitcoin going up or any of these other coins like CRO or Nero or Flocky or BONK or Goat or Solana or AVAX. Them going up doesn't have an impact. Doge going up has a massive impact because all the retail, and it's this market that you're not that aware of, as maybe more of a crypto degen that watches my channel and follows me on X, more of that normie retail are capitalized in coins like Doge. So that is why it's so bullish, because they're going to move down the risk curve. Now they're exposed to crypto again. They're going to tell their friends. The flywheel continues. They might even buy more meme coins. Doge was a coin that I publicly said a week ago at the time of the election that I thought it was going to be the best proxy to a Trump victory, not Bitcoin. I said here on November 5th, Bitcoin isn't the best Trump proxy, Doge is. At the time, I also did a video. That trade is now up like 250%. I first called it at 10 cents, again at 15, 20 cents. So we absolutely nailed this trade, and Doge has been one of my best performers over the past couple of weeks. It was the best, highest upside bet on Trump, as I pointed out during the election. And that trade's been amazing. So congrats to everyone that is in on the Doge trade. Also in the Discord, we've had a couple great trades over the last couple of days. I recently told my Discord community, because they get the early alpha in the alpha channel, that I was buying Neural AI. I woke up this morning. I called it at $6 2 days ago, and I woke up and it was like $9 at one point. It's now pulled back a little bit, but Becca ended up shilling overnight. These opportunities keep coming up, and I'm going to share them in the alpha channel when I get some early alpha for you guys. Of course, I'm going to let the viewers of the show eat, but of course, the Mars High Club members get access to this information first. And actually, I have a big play coming up. As I said here in the alpha channel, I just found a new meme. I'm still doing DD. It might be a few days, but it has 50x potential if the narrative kicks off. I've been accumulating this meme, and I really think it has potential. It might not pan out, but if it does, it's a 50 to 100x upside play. And I'm going to be sharing that first in the Discord in the next 48 hours. So if you were on the fence about joining, now would be an amazing time to join. There's a link in the description below. Not only do you get all the alpha and education from all of our analysts, but you're also going to get those early calls. And I know you guys want the early alpha, including this meme coin, over the next 48 hours, which I think could really bang. I think it's only sitting like at a 10 to 20 mil market cap right now, or potentially even less. So that one I think has a lot of upside. Let's talk about strategy now for altcoins, and then let's go into the individual alts that I'm currently the most interested in. The first thing I want to say is, in an upwards trending market, your major concern should be to take advantage of the pullbacks. We're going to see liquidation wicks, we're going to see the market getting overheated, and thus we're going to see some nasty rejections and pullbacks along the way. It's just how the market is. If you can be resolute through these moments while other people are panicking, these are great accumulation opportunities. And it was the exact same in February, Jan this year, and it was the exact same in 2021, that are going to hold you in good stead for the cycle. Even looking at Total 3 right now, we had a major wick up into resistance. We've had a rejection. The wick came down. This was a great buying opportunity. It's come up a bit now, but it's still at a decent level where you can now look to get some decent entries on alts that are now showing pullbacks. I'm going to go through a few alts later in the show, which are pulling back, which I believe are going to be some nice dip buying opportunities for you guys. I want you to really reframe your thinking, if you haven't already, that in a bull run, these dips are for buying, they're not for panicking. And if you can do that, I think you're going to do really well as certain contingents of the market, especially the normie contingent, actually puke their positions when the market dips because they're not experienced and they panic. And then when the market starts pumping again, which it inevitably will, because I think we're going to blast through this level and reach new all-time highs on Total 3. And that would take us from the current level to the previous all-time high. And I think we're going much higher than that, but even to the previous all-time high, up another 53%. Just for some context, from the breakout, alts have only moved up 17%. This is only 17%. Imagine another 53%, and that's just to the previous altcoin all-time high. So we're going much higher, but just for prudent risk management, getting in on those dips is going to be the best thing that you can do. When Bitcoin finally decides to take a breather, because Bitcoin is still the dominant asset right now, and this might actually not be until next year that it takes a significant breather after a massive expansionary pump. Polymarket suggests that it could even be a pump to 100K. After that, that's when I think you're going to see the altcoins, the on-chain memes, the more risk-on stuff really explode. So although technically we're not in an accumulation phase now, we're still in the early part of phase 3 where you can take advantage of these pullbacks and still be pretty well positioned from a risk-reward perspective for what's to come in Q1. Doc and I in the stream earlier today went through our plan for altcoins. The TLDR on that is Bitcoin dominance needs to have a significant downtrend, and it's still pretty much up only. And that probably only happens until Bitcoin clears 100K, until alts really see a true alt season. Until then, yes, alts are going to do well. Some may outperform Bitcoin if you're in the right ones like us. You may see certain segments of the market being front run. Like I want to talk about AI in a few minutes here. That could be a sector that does really well around the NVDA earnings. But in general, that full alt season that a lot of you are waiting for, I don't think that happens until Bitcoin slows down, and that's likely to be next year. But that's amazing because that gives you an opportunity on these dips to actually position. Now, I want to talk about something really important. I mentioned it earlier in the show. I'm seeing people make a mistake recently, and I really need you as a serious market participant and viewer of this channel to really take this in. The mistake I'm noticing is that people are now FOMOing into a lot of coins that they don't believe in, and I'm seeing a lot of over-rotating. Even in the Discord where I really preach, having conviction and sticking to your bags and believing in your assets, I'm noticing a lot of people are over-rotating and they're being a bit flippant and they're not giving trades time to play out. So they're entering a trade 3 days later, all of a sudden the price might be down a little bit on a dip. They're getting shaky hands. They don't have suddenly conviction anymore. They're rotating into something that pumps. Then the token that pumps dumps, and the token that they rotated ends up exploding. This is what killed me a little bit last cycle, and it's what held me back from making millions last cycle. And luckily, I was able to fix that this cycle, and I've managed to do really well this cycle so far. But it's something that you're going to need to learn from my mistakes from last cycle if you want to do well. For example, I called Sundog as a potential long idea a couple of days before the election at 14 cents. It pulled back to 10 cents. The thesis hadn't changed, right? The theory behind why I bought it hadn't changed at all. On that dip to 10 cents, people started panicking. It had only been 24 hours, but people suddenly started to puke their position, right? If you just held and maintained conviction, if you actually believed in the asset or believed in the thesis of the trade at the very least, you could have held to what is now today an 18-cent Sundog. You'd be up on that trade. But a lot of people locked in a loss on that trade. That's just one example. I'll give you an even better example. It's actually AIOZ. Now, AIOZ is a token that I spoke about a lot earlier in the year, and it had a massive sell-off. It performed really badly for a matter of months, and as a holder, it was frustrating. But in the Discord, people kept saying, what's happening with AIOZ? What's happening with AIOZ? Should I sell AIOZ? Is AIOZ dead? Is AIOZ this? Is AIOZ that? Right? That is what I was getting for a matter of months. Now, I actually posted this chart a couple of months ago. I said, keep your eye on this chart. If you get a break, that is a strong signal that it's going to come back. We got a break. We even had a retest of the money noodle, and we had a whole week of accumulation here just below the breakout level, which is an extremely bullish set of price action, by the way, that Bitcoin exhibited, resulting in its breakout. And then in one day today, it pumped 50%. Now, it's pulled back a little bit now, but it wicked all the way to 81 cents from 50 cents. This one, I held a lot of my position. I did de-risk here on the breakdown a little bit earlier in the year in June, as I've discussed many times in the Discord, but half of my position I just held. I didn't puke it. Now, a lot of people in the Discord, and I assume a lot of the YouTube viewers by nature of that, in fact, the Discord guys are probably a little bit more tuned in. I think a lot of you guys that watched the YouTube that bought AIOZ earlier in the year, if you didn't de-risk here, you probably puked in recent weeks. But if you just had conviction and you believed in the thesis and you held it, you would have gotten that 50% pump today. Here's the thing about the market. You don't know what coin is going to do a 50% next. The day you rotate out of a coin is potentially the day that it does a 50% move. And the coin you rotate into, there's no guarantees that's going to keep going up. So what's my advice out of all of this? You can't rotate every day. You need to have conviction in coins. Look at Ansem's coins. Look at Murad's coins. Yes, a couple things change occasionally. Yes, they enter new positions, but the core of it doesn't change. Their core 10 holdings don't change. They're coins they love. They're coins they have conviction in. They buy, they hold, they don't sell, and they wait. As long as you're in the right coins, you're going to do well because you never know when they're going to pop. And AIOZ is an example of this today. And it's probably going to happen with Render very soon. It's probably going to happen with other coins, some that I'm speaking about later, that they haven't really moved. Yeah, they moved a bit, but one day you're going to see that really strong reaction. So the lesson here is only buy coins, especially in a bull market when risk reward isn't as good as buying in a bear. Only buy coins that you have a real conviction in. It's going to make it that much easier to hold them throughout dips, and it's going to make you that less prone to puking a position that performs really well, which is ultimately, it's this over-rotating which kills you in a bull run. Something to take note of. Taiki says here, EV of believing is higher than the EV of trading. Murad was right. We really do have to stop trading and believe in something. Conviction and holding is often going to hold you in good stead than constantly trying to rotate. Now, I'm always on the lookout for new plays, but I do that with the 20% of my portfolio, which is variable. The amount that you pick depends on your temperament, your strategy, your trading experience, etc. For most people, condensing your portfolio down to a basket of assets you really believe in, stacking those coins and holding those coins to Valhalla is the most successful strategy in the market. So my advice to you today is refine a list of 4 to 5 coins that you love and accumulate these coins on dips. We're starting to see a bit of a dip today, for example. This could, I think personally, we might consolidate for a few days, might see a little bit of weakness, and then we're going to make another push later in the week. That's just my feeling. But start to refine that list of the coins that you would love to accumulate. I'll speak about some of mine right now, some of which you might subscribe to, but hopefully it'll give you a good idea as to the types of coins that I'm looking at in this market. So firstly, let's recap. What are the narratives we want to be in? They're the strong narratives. Meme coins, definitely strong. AI, strong. And then infrastructure. That pretty much hasn't changed the whole cycle. You can see on Velo data that hasn't changed over the last week. We have, though, seen a blow off top and then a major pullback in memes, which I think is an opportunity. And we have seen a major run in AI, and then we've seen a cool off, right? Especially over the last day. If you look at the daily performance, you can see the sell-off is much more highlighted over the last 5 to 10 hours. We have seen a pullback in these sectors. These are two sectors which, on pullbacks, they're my highest conviction sectors of this cycle. I think roughly 30 to 40% of my portfolio is combined between memes and AI coins. And for this, probably closer to 40%. And for this reason, these are the coins I want to accumulate. So let's talk about AI for a second. You have the NVDA earnings happening on the 20th of November. AI is a sector which is very responsive to narrative, and potentially positive earnings for NVIDIA could create a narrative around AI again. It could be as simple as the tokens rally in the lead up to earnings. Especially if NVIDIA outperforms, that could be a bullish catalyst. And if it doesn't, I don't think it's an overcrowded trade where I haven't really heard many people talk about this theory. So it's not like everyone's pouring into AI now and then it's going to be sell the news. Like, not many people are speaking about this. Like, and that's the definition of alpha, right? So I do think AI coins right now on this dip are the better coins, in my opinion, to be longing because there's a bit of a catalyst. You saw Morgan Stanley bumping NVIDIA shares target on margin outlook. So it looks good for a potential expectations beat in a week's time. Now, I've put together a spreadsheet here. It's not every single coin that I'm accumulating, but it is my refined list of tokens that I'm interested in right now to give you a bit more perspective on what currently interests me. But just a disclosure, this isn't my entire portfolio. Obviously, I hold more coins than this. These are just coins that interest me right now from an accumulation perspective. And hopefully by me explaining the thesis behind each coin, it can also point you in the right direction of thinking as to how to approach the market right now. So let's speak about AI first. Obviously, Tau and Spectral are two of the leaders that I'm interested in. To give you a bit of a summary, I like Tau because it's a leading AI play. It's been very responsive to the narrative. It has a strong community. And as an AI leader, I think it is responsive to the AI run in general. Now, the only issue is the valuation is very high. So if you're buying Tau, you're not going for a 10x. Maybe you could get a 5x, 3 to 5x. I mean, A 5x would take it to a 50 bill FDV. I think that could happen, as a leading AI coin. It's kind of got those Bitcoin tokenomics with the halving cycles and the mining in terms of the issuance a bit tenser. Overall, I think it will continue to do well. And what I like technically about Tau from a leader perspective is the fact that you have seen this money noodle flip. It's the indicator that I love to use. It's exclusive for Mars High Club members. So if you join the Discord, you will get access to this. We're seeing Tau on the 1 day, which is one of the best timeframes to use this indicator, pull back into the money noodle. This, if we end up responding well in this zone, could mark another higher low, which could be a good entry point within Val, which there's also confluence on the horizontal support here to make an entry in this level and look to target this high and then obviously all-time highs. So from a risk management point of view, we're approaching, especially in this zone, which is around $500 to $520, an interesting accumulation level for Tau. So that's definitely on my list. That even wicked into that today. There is definitely a chance over the next few days you can get an entry on Tau, but keep your eye on the money noodle because I would love to accumulate some more Tau in that level. Keep in mind, it's a leader. So if you're moving down the risk curve a bit, it might not be as attractive. But for those that, especially are trading with a bit more size, it's a solid banker for this cycle, in my opinion. The next one is SPEC. I'm a big believer that AI agents are going to completely change the way we trade. And I think in the short term, AI agents, especially driven by the AI meme coins, are going to be a really strong trend. What is the leading AI agent coin? It's actually Spectral. And Spectral's chart looks phenomenal. I'm not going to lie. It looks great. Look at how it's responding to the noodle. So you have these wicks and then the bounces of horizontal and confluence with the noodle, which is a combination of moving averages. You have this wick down into the bottom, a perfect response. You have upside, a higher high, and what looks to be now another retest. So what's going to happen over the next few days, the noodle is going to go like this. We're probably going to see a pullback into this zone. That would be a good zone to long because you have invalidation and it's a perfect uptrend. This is pretty much the quintessential chart in crypto that I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for altcoins that are exhibiting long continuation. The good thing about getting into long continuation plays is that A, they have relative strength because by default you're in an uptrend if it's a long continuation play, and B, if you're adhering to a structure, which in this case is higher lows and adherence to the MA noodle here, that's great because you can buy in on those dips, get in on higher lows, and it's basically this step ladder, right, of this price action where you get a pump, a retrace, a clearing of highs, and it just works up like this, which I absolutely love because it's so easy to manage risk. Because look, the second it starts to break down, you have two invalidation clauses. One, a break of the noodle and this diagonal trend, and then B, a break of the previous low and your horizontal structure. So you have that invalidation, which makes it quite easy to basically risk manage a trade. And I think in this market, right, the higher you're buying, the later in the cycle that you're buying. Now, we're not late, but we're not early, right? You need to be a little bit tighter with your invalidations because you don't have the luxury of riding a trade from range low accumulation at $5 anymore. That's just the reality. So when you do have these technical invalidations, and you can see it clearly on Tau as well, you should absolutely be using them. So those are two, Tau and Spectral. Now, Spectral is an AI agent play. Something I've been doing is moving down the risk curve a little bit when it comes to AI agent plays. And for that reason, I've added two coins to my portfolio. Neural, which I shared in, I think it was yesterday's show and also earlier in the Discord at $6. That's one play. That's your Tau beta because it's a Tau subnet. Another play that I recently added that I haven't spoken about before, but I also shared early in the Discord. Remember, Discord, people get the early alpha, so link in the description if you want to check that out, is EMP. So I added Imperial because this is my version of moving down the risk curve a little bit, getting higher beta exposure to the AI agent sector, while still getting into a quality project that I believe has upside at around a $20 million market cap at the time of recording this video. I think AI agents will be a hot trend this cycle, and I'm looking for other plays to further diversify in that riskier section of my portfolio, which I did discuss in the last video, which is basically, look, you can have 70-80% of your capital consolidated in the top plays like Tau, Spectral, Render, etc. But you can operate a barbell strategy where, yes, you have more capital concentrated in tokens like this, but on the other end of the barbell, you can have your lower caps, sub 100 mil, that give you that potential 10 to 20x upside. And you're going to need that if you want to maximize this bull run. So it's important. Sometimes it's risky just to be in the high caps. Sometimes you need that balance of lower cap exposure as well to balance out the barbell. And that's, for me, I was over allocated, and that's why I've been adding these coins. And coins like Tau, Spectral, I still think they're going to do well, right? But they're above $1 billion, and I hold a lot of capital in them. I wanted to just move some capital down the risk curve into things like Neural and more recently EMP. So what EMP basically does, to give you an idea, is they enable AI-powered DeFi with autonomous agents. So they allow real-time data streaming and account abstraction. And I do believe the future of trading and the future of DeFi and the future of all on-chain activity is going towards AI agents. I think in the future, you're going to go into your phone and you're going to tell an agent, hey, I want to buy this coin over X, Y, and Z time frame, and it's going to do it for you. I think you're going to go into your phone and say, hey, I want to stake my Ethereum or Solana, etc. in this pool, and it's going to do it for you. And it's even going to tell you, like, hey, I suggest this pool because of this reason. And, it's actually going to give you feedback and optimize towards your strategy over time. What is really cool as well is EMP has the simulacrum, which basically lets users create fully autonomous no-code AI agents themselves that control wallets and perform on-chain tasks directly through social media platforms, starting with Twitter. So it's a super, super cool protocol. At the time of sharing it on Discord, it was 72. I think it's now $85, but it's still sitting around a 30 mil market cap, which in my opinion still gives you a lot of upside to move. As a play moving down the risk curve from something like a Spectral, which is sitting at $1 billion. So being able to get access to the AI agent vertical for 26 mil, that's attractive to me. And that's why I did add it to my portfolio. Once again, if you do want early alpha for calls like that, Mars High Club is the place to be. I did share that earlier today, like 12 hours ago, before I released this video. From a technical perspective, if you want some insight as well, what I like is the fact that you have this wick here, this bullish wick, which basically takes you above the original all-time high at the time of launching, or technically there was that massive wick up, but I'm going to discount that. The daily high, the first daily high on Sunday, the 3rd of December, 2023. The thing is, they also launched in a bit of a weird market, and we obviously had a period of the market that was just really not hot at all. So they had, especially over the 8 months this year, like a chance for a lot of the weak hands to get out of the market. And obviously now it's running that you have that stronger holder base. But despite the run-up over the past couple of months, it's only now that we're starting to consolidate above the previous highs from March and that previous daily high from 2023. So from a technical perspective, I also like this, and I think it does set you up for further upside on that front. And just to confirm, it is sitting at around a $20 to $25 million market cap at the time of recording this video. So that's decent in my opinion. All right, let's move on with the rest of the list here. I'm not going to go as in depth, but I'll show you all the meme coins. There are more, but the top memes I'm looking at right now, PEPE, I still really like. I talked about that today with Doc. WIF, I think, is the top Solana proxy, is good. POPCAT I like, but it's a bit high. So the only time I would enter POPCAT is if you see a big wick. Nonetheless, though, it is on my accumulation list in case we see big dips. SPEC hasn't really moved, but I still think it'll be a strong one. So definitely keeping my eye on that. Now at around the 670 million FDV region. There might be mistakes with the API, as you can see in front of you, but so double check the valuations in your own time, but I think most of them will be correct. And then you have GOAT as well, which has been an amazing trade. Called that at 20 cents, now sitting at 90 cents. I sold half of my GOAT, but I'm still riding the rest because it is the top AI agent play. Moving on to RWA, this is another sector that I think is bullish as a sub-sector of DeFi. The two on my accumulation list, and you are seeing dips across both of them, which I think represent good opportunities if you didn't get an initial entry, are CHEX. This is an amazing protocol that's tokenizing assets. They're licensed in Singapore by the authority of Singapore. So they've got, full licensing, full regulation, amazing flywheel tokenomics as well for the CHEX token. They have, I think, an amazing team. Their fully diluted valuation is already out on the market, meaning there's no more crazy supply to come, like a token like Ondo, which is sitting at $1 billion market cap, but it's sitting at a $7 billion FDV. Obviously, that limits upside, right? Here, it's fully diluted, which I like. So it's got that like Memecoin-esque tokenomics in a sense, with really, really loyal holders. And you also, as I've discussed in previous videos, have that anchoring point of the fact that Ondo is at a $7 billion or an $8 billion FDV, and the fact that Mantra is at a $1.5 billion FDV, and CHEX and CPOOL are only sitting in the 200. So, I mean, for me, with RWA as a top vertical, especially with Trump as the president of the US, and Larry Fink and TradFi getting bullish on tokenization, like it's a no-brainer that at some point RWA is going to perform really well, and these are coins that on every dip I'm interested in stacking. So definitely keep your eye on these. Now, to end the show, I want to discuss a few other alts because I know I've been discussing RWA and memes a lot. Obviously, I was able to give you a couple new AI tokens today, but I want to discuss infrastructure as well because I haven't spoken about infra in a while, but it's not something I'm fading. So Solana, Phantom, and Aptos are the three that I still accumulate and I'm still holding, and I want to discuss each of them quickly in their own merit. Firstly, Solana, what I want to point out to you in terms of technical analysis is the fact that you now have a Solana break and a retest of the key resistance level that we rejected off in March. And we also broke down from last bull run and rejected off. And that was ultimately the signal of momentum shifting from bullish to bearish into the bear market. So psychologically and technically, this is a big level to clear. It's the $200 level. And in my opinion, it means the likelihood of us targeting that all-time high at $250 is very high over the next few weeks. And you're probably going to see a $300 to $400 Solana by the end of year if Bitcoin does go to 100K, which the odds on Polymarket do suggest. So Solana for me is a play that, look, it might not be the greatest long ever with fresh capital, but if you're taking profits from other coins, but you still want exposure to the market and you don't want to go fully into stables, I think Solana is a very viable option alongside Bitcoin for that this cycle, as it's likely still going to outperform Ethereum and a lot of other layer ones in the market, despite already having run a lot. The next one I want to talk about is Phantom, purely from a technical point of view. It bears a lot of similarities to the Tau and the spectral chart, which I showed before. You have this uptrend, you have these higher lows, and you also have a nice break and what now looks like to be a retest of the money noodle on the daily, which obviously we absolutely love. So if you can get that push back into the money noodle, I do think this becomes a very nice long, and I'll be looking to position a little bit more Phantom ahead of Sonic, which is coming very, very soon. I think that's going to generate some hype again for the ecosystem. We're going to see Andre tweeting, we're going to see Memecoins on Phantom, and I think that's going to kick off a bit of a DeFi boom as well because they've got an airdrop, and I think there'll be hype on that front. And even to yearly highs from the current level, percentage-wise, that would take us 65% to the upside. So you have that as a target, and then of course, a break of that, and you can start targeting prices from the last bull run. I think the fact, and we're seeing this on DOGE right now, that a lot of people made a lot of money on Phantom last cycle, maybe even hold some still and know about it, really helps in terms of mindshare to help propel that narrative forward going into this next leg of the bull. And then the last coin, which I don't think I've spoken about that much on the show, but I did want to talk about today, is Aptos. Aptos is another token that on dips I'm accumulating. Even today, you've had a wick from 14 back down to 12. I recently took a big position in this, and the reason why is because Sui has run up so much. If you just want to go onto CoinGecko and actually have a look at what's happening with Sui, the market cap on Sui right now is $30 billion FDV, which is absolutely insane. Aptos is 13, so it's still a 3x away. And if you don't know the lore behind them, they were basically born from the exact same initiative at Facebook. It was the DM/Libra project, which was created to create like a stable coin, it was to create a blockchain at Meta/Facebook, and then they ended up scrapping that program, and then the two founders basically split, had a fight or something, and started their own protocols. So Sui was one to run. I think there's a little bit of catching up to do on the Aptos side, and that's the reason why I prefer to be in an Aptos long right now versus Sui. I don't know if you remember, but earlier in the cycle, not this year, last year, I think it got an upbit listing and the Koreans bidded it, and it had this meme of one Aptos equals one apartment, which was like this meme in the Korean circles. Also, and this just sounds completely insane, but I don't know, if you go into your iPhone and you look at the global charts right now, one of the top songs is APT. I think it stands for apartment, and it's by one of the biggest Korean pop stars. She's a massive singer, and the song's called APT. And I know it sounds crazy, but I think there's enough lore behind it that you could see that Asia pump really start to take off, because it's got upbit, and you've got this like APT like meme, and one Aptos equals one apartment kind of thing, like one Ondo, one condo. Sounds stupid, but it's got the memic quality to back up the discrepancy between Sui. So that's why I'm in Aptos now instead of Sui. I called Sui super, super early, by the way. It was in my portfolio video earlier in the year. Just started to rotate some capital out. So that is my recap there. These are some of the coins I'm accumulating. Let me know what you're accumulating in the comments below. I'm going to be sharing this meme coin in the next 48 hours in the Mars High Club, and I think it's got a lot of upside. So make sure, if you aren't already, to come and join the community. Click the link in the description below to join, and I'm going to see you in the next video tomorrow. There's going to be 2 uploads a day. I'll see you in the morning for a video on when I think this bull run is going to end. This is going to be really interesting, and then later for the second show, which is this one, which is the Altcoin Alpha show. Have a lovely rest of your day. Peace out.